All right, guys, let's do it. Presented by Under Armour and Sleeper Fantasy. Welcome to Light Years, the deadline day edition of Light Years.
Andy Lou, I'm not going to lie to you. I was expecting the Warriors to get routed by the Indiana Pacers back to back, no moves. Just felt like a perfect trap moment for angriness. But that's not what we got. We got a very professional effort. And is this a 4-1 road trip by the Warriors? Are they starting to be adults? They're starting to figure it out. Hashtag they figured it out. Man, looking nice. You're on mute, by the way.
I said it should have been 5-0, right? Should have been 5-0. If you can make that argument. Professional effort is really the way to say it, though. I think for the first time this season, is it the first time this season we're watching this team and they're all serious? Is everyone locked in?
It's like more than anything. We're at game 49, and it feels like they know what they want. But it feels like they know what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like Steph gets the headlines tonight, but last night Steph had 9 points, and it was the same. It was the same thing. They knew what they wanted to do the entire way through. This lineup's working. They're playing defense. Shout out Draymond. Turns out he matters. Tailored the offense. It's a little different than it used to be. It's a little less like trying to make 18 intricate passes and more like get a guy into space and let him go to work a little bit. I wonder how it was convincing Steve to be like, what if Steph just sets a screen for Kuminga and lets him get downhill? But it's working, man. It's really working. And honestly, as fun as it is to watch Kuminga and Wiggins come around on offense, and again, Steph is the story tonight, just phenomenal. I think it's the defense that gets me the most excited.
Why you gotta steal? Yeah, I agree. I tweeted out, and that was the big thing for me. Watching Kuminga and Wiggins, I know Kuminga has been in the trade deadline. Wiggins has been in the trade deadline rumors for a little while now. But watching those two guys grow up next to, I guess Wiggins already has, but watching Kuminga and him grow up next to Draymond is really the biggest story of the last couple of weeks. No shocker, Steph goes on a hot streak. Not a shocker to us. But watching Kuminga and Wiggins be able to play grown man defense right now, I think you said they've been a top 10 defense since Draymond's back. That is the biggest story. I don't think this team can win the championship, but I don't care. I do think that if those guys are good enough to play next to Draymond that well, then this is a very good playoff team, which a month ago, you and I were sitting here saying they need to trade everyone to just be a play-in team. Right now, with those two guys playing wing defense, which is what the NBA is all about next to Draymond, it looks pretty real, at least for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. The Warriors' identity at its most basic level has been play fast around Steph and put defensive versatility around Steph, right? Like those are the things. You get out and run with the way Steph can shoot the ball and the things he can do. It's unguardable. And you put defense around him and you just trust 30 is going to give you enough offense. The last year and a half, that just hasn't really been the case. Maybe in like small spurts here and there. This has been the first time I've watched them since 2022 where I'm like, all right, I see where this is going. I'm not, convinced they have the depth. I'm not convinced about a bunch of other things, but I see a formula that's working, that's worth building on. I saw an interesting stat from Jason Timpf, bringing it up right now. The Draymond, Wiggins, Kuminga front line, 125 offensive rating, 97 defensive rating entering tonight. 97 defensive rating in this era where everyone scores 150 at all times is probably the most impressive part. I don't really know what you... It's just impressive. Like we can talk about depth, we can talk about a bunch of other stuff, but the formula is working. You put switchy wings around Draymond. Honestly, they don't need to be able to think. He'll do it for him. Like that's the funniest thing with Draymond.
You don't want those guys to think. That's not their forte. Yeah, we saw those guys, right?
Yeah, I was
when they
gonna
had
be
to
like, you
play
don't
without
need
him.
Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston. You just need guys with tools. You need guys who kind of give a fuck. Like that's the other part of it. You need guys who are willing to
Key Santos.
actually, yeah, exactly. Guy's a perfect
Woo.
end of bench guy because you know he's gonna play hard the entire way, right? That's the thing.
I'm kind of annoyed that Steve Kerr took the JTA comparison because I was actually thinking about that one, but he really is the new Juan Toscano Anderson. Where I mean,
Mhm.
tonight he hit a couple threes, which JTA, kind of hit a couple threes when he broke in the NBA. But the value of him is just he's going to pound the offensive boards. He's going to get rebounds defensively. He's going to just track and hit guys defensively, kind of
Mhm.
like a football player playing basketball. But at the same time, he's not unskilled. He's made all his free throws. He's made a couple threes. He's brought the ball up. He's not a stiff. He's not just a guy that's just hitting people. He actually can play a little bit. It
Hit his
feels like they
threes
found
tonight.
something there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I
Yep.
mean it's like it does feel like shooting's the swing skill. If he
Yep.
can
Yep.
be a reliable, if I'm open in the corner, I'm gonna hit it. He's a rotation guy. If that's not gonna be reliable, he's probably more of a JTA where you're like you throw
Yep.
him out there when you need energy. But anyway, found money. He's big, dude. By the way, like he's a legit 6'8".
How big is he?
I'd say a legit 6'8". He's a big wing the way Kuminga and Wiggins are, which the last year plus it feels like what's everyone's favorite criticism been like too many guards.
Well,
Well, it's hard to find guys who are 6'8" who can play basketball, 6'9" who can play basketball and switch everything.
It's also nice when they found a rookie point guard that plays like he's 6'7".
Right.
With pods, and then they traded Corey Joseph so that now Steve Kerr is not allowed to play Corey Joseph, which is another nice thing that they did, I guess, today. For
Mhm.
disappointed Warriors fans. But I mean, you're right. That's really been the big thing. Is the moment this team has some relatively functional two-way wings, they're kind of looking similar again. The big test for me, because I am like relatively optimistic. I know we got to get to some deadline stuff on other things too, Sam. But like to me, I think the real test is now how do they look like against the Suns? They play the Suns, they play the Clippers, they play the Jazz coming up. How do they look like against those teams? Because going 4-1 on a road trip, no matter who you play, is pretty promising. It really, really is. And they lost their last 3 games by a point, right? They lost them by a point. So you could argue this team's played well for almost 2 weeks now. Can they start getting wins against actual good teams? And that's where I'd be curious. Then I could tell you we can sit here, on Saturday night and say they're turning the corner if they can get that.
I do agree with you there. Like, the Pacers is a good win. Philly without Embiid, like a couple other ones. But you have to build momentum one way or another.
Right.
So they're building it. This was a very nice win. This had the makings of a trap game.
Mhm.
So, you take care of business, you get the positive reviews for Sam and Andy. Let's talk a little deadline.
Yeah.
Because I know you have to race out of here. And then I got my guy Kyle Madsen coming in
Sir.
to talk a little more. Warriors didn't make a move. Disappointing to a lot of Warrior fans. Disappointing to others. Kind of felt like it was going that way based on everything we saw. I think my overall take on the deadline was quiet, right? Like it wasn't.
Who's the best player that got traded?
At the deadline? Yeah. Royce O'Neal? No, Gordon Hayward.
Oh, my God.
Tillman?
Oh, my.
David
PJ
Tillman?
Washington, maybe.
Maybe PJ Washington. Like, yeah, it's a bunch of like nice to haves, right? Like nothing. I'm not scoffing any of those guys, but like nice to haves. Not, the best player traded was Siakam or OG Anunoby, and that happened 2 to 4 weeks ago. So we're not counting that. What we did get was the Warriors apparently were into it with the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls are just completely unserious with this. They called about Kuminga, they called about Caruso. The Bulls wanted Kuminga. Not happening,
Yeah, right.
And deal fell apart, even though apparently the Warriors put Moses Moody and picks into play, which is not an insignificant offer, in my opinion. I don't know. How do you feel about the fact that they didn't get anything done, but you're getting reports here that they were talking to the Bulls about a Caruso, maybe Drummond package for maybe a Moses Moody and maybe a couple picks type of situation?
the Chicago Bulls are a fucking joke, Samuel. What is this, man? The hell are they doing? What Moses Moody, they probably would have gotten a first round pick, probably top 10 protected, top 5 protected, something like that, and
Yeah.
maybe another first or
Devils
at least a couple seconds.
Devil's always in the details, right? Yeah.
But that's kind of what was thrown out there. I think by people that know a lot more than I do, and that's a real offer. That to me, and this is why I wasn't bitching and moaning today for once. To me, it felt like the Warriors were ready to go all in on something. Now, you can argue that why didn't they give that offer for DeJounte Murray? Because that probably gets him DeJounte Murray. But they honed in on a guy that they liked. We knew they liked Alex Caruso. I like, you like, everyone likes. And they said, let's just go get him. And he could be like GP2 on steroids. I don't know if GP2 is going to be in that trade or not.
Oh,
I think it'd be cool if you.
I mean, he's like pods on he's an adult pods, right? Like
Oh,
let's just be real. Like Caruso's
well,
what top
Caruso's
5.
elite defensively, though. Like
Yeah.
elite defensively, right? That's more.
No, he's one of the
That's an
best.
incredible trade, Sam. It's an
Mhm.
incredible trade if the Warriors could have done that. You could argue, is it a bad trade? Maybe. That's kind of a ridiculous. I would say the Warriors, you could maybe say, could have given up too much in that trade, but I would have been super pumped up. I would have been, okay, they're going all in. They're trying to be somewhat of a contender. They're trying to make this relatively not a superstar move, but at least they get a super role player, and maybe that'll push them over the edge, kind of like OG Anunoby is doing for the Knicks. So OG's hurt. I would have loved it. I would have pounded them and loved it, and the Bulls said no. So I kind of don't blame the Warriors.
Yeah, it's one of those where on paper it makes total sense. Drummond would be an upgrade to Looney, given where he is. He gives you that like center who can be a proper center when you need it. But the Warriors don't need a center in the sense of a starter. They need a guy they can trust when they need to throw a big body out there, right? Like it's kind of hard to sign a center if you're the Warriors because you're telling someone like, well, if it's a money time, we're going to play Draymond in front of you. But there's going to be some matchups where we need you. So you need like that's why Looney was so good at it because he's comfortable in that role, right? But he's kind of fallen apart a little bit. So Drummond makes sense of that role. And then to your point, Caruso, it's like combining pods and GP2 into one player, only a little better at both things, right? Like he's made for the Warriors system, excellent passer, can hit an open shot, and one of the best point of attack defenders in the entire league, can play both ways on the Warriors system. They clearly want someone in that role who's going to keep the ball moving, essentially be what Andre was on offense, you know, like could stick a couple shots here and there, but like they understand their job is to get it to Steph, get it to Kuminga, get to Wiggins, get to Clay, whoever it may be, and then hit a shot if the defense is, you know, played them perfect and they're like the back-breaking option. I don't know. I can't get mad at the Warriors because it's not like someone else got him, you know? And it's not like someone else got DeJounte Murray or any of the players we wanted. I can be a little mad at the Warriors for not getting OG Anunoby because he might have been the perfect fit too. But end of the day, the players they were looking at didn't move. We got a silent deadline, man. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying because you could make the case that adding 2 players like that to what they have going is pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting in terms of actual playoff basketball. Like this Warriors team, if they continue this roll going, they might get out of the play-in. We'll see, you know. But adding 2 guys to their top 8 who can make a difference, it's interesting.
It is. To go back on the Caruso stuff, that is why I think you and I think are less disappointed. I mean, you can argue maybe they, you know, Daniel Gafford was out there and then people want a big. I would have liked that, but I'm not gonna kill them for that. I think we kind of know what they think about with bigs. Like you said though, Caruso didn't go somewhere for 2 seconds, a lightly protected first. Like he didn't go somewhere for that, right? Like nobody offered anything that we know that was better than what the Warriors offer. It felt like the Warriors offer was maybe top 2, and the Bulls are just not a serious organization. We know that. So this is why I kind of can't get too pissy about it. I'd probably rather have Caruso DeJounte, to be honest. The only pushback I'll give you though on on the two guys coming back. I assume you're talking about GP2 and CP3. Be fascinated to see what Chris Paul is going to look like with the second unit, because his team they're moving the ball, they're playing up tempo. The defense looks really good. Lester Quinones, I know, like, not my type of guy, but man, he provides energy. He's fast, he's pretty long, gets to the hole, draws fouls. Same with Guy Santos, right? He just does all these things that you just kind of need. And I am really not looking forward to a 40-year-old 5'8" point guard come back to pound the fuck out of the rock and play no defense. So that's all. I don't want to ruin the vibe tonight, because I know it's good with the Warriors right now. They look good tonight. But I'm more excited for GP2 coming back than I am the other guy. But we'll see. We'll see. He has been good this year, so we'll see.
He has been good. We got Cal Madsen coming in.
All right.
But maybe we should pay some bills real quick.
Yes. Before we do that, this Light Years podcast is brought to you by Game Time. You should not have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you go, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And we are brought to you by Sleeper Fantasy. Sleeper Fantasy. So if you think you know basketball, come on, you guys know this. You think you know basketball, turn your basketball knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, ultimate fantasy sports app. You can turn game day into payday. Download the Sleeper app, pick more or less on your favorite players. You got more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just pick and choose 2 or more of your favorite players. If you chose Guy Santos and Lester Quinones tonight, you're winning 10 extra money. You can do that in pregame, or you can do it live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats. You can win up to 100 times your money. If your picks win, I know we did a sleeper segment last time. I actually won. I went with a 4-leg parlay. Dame ended up getting taken out of the game. He was sick or whatever. And what ended up being a 3-leg parlay. And I hit all 3 legs. And I got 4x what I bet. So use promo code LIGHTYEARS. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms are used for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
See you later, Andy.
All right, brother. Have fun. All right, guys.
Bye, Andy.
We are 1-0 in episodes Kyle Madsen joins mid-pod.
Yeah, that's big time.
That stat? What do you think about
That's
that?
no, that's pretty big time.
You think it's a sustainable formula?
Yeah, I definitely think it is, especially in the age of analytics. You know, people talk about the 3-point shot. People talk about the mid-range. Nobody talks about the mid-pod. And I think that this is an untapped market. This is the new market inefficiency, is the mid-pod. So shout out to Brandon, the original pods, but now we're here.
In the playoffs, your first option goes away. You gotta be able to improvise and come in mid-pod and prove you can get it done.
Yeah, not that I'm going to replace Andy's production by any means. I just need to keep the ship from sinking, and I'm confident I can do that.
How you feel about the Warriors right now? You know, coming into today, trade deadline, easy to be a little pessimistic because, well, they're still under 500, and in theory, a team under 500 with aspirations of doing anything should probably be looking to make a move.
Sure,
and they didn't. But the backdrop of it is they've been playing a lot better, and this might be their best win on the road trip, period. Indiana, second leg of a back-to-back, big win. Hard not to drink a little Kool-Aid on it.
Yeah, you go 3 consecutive road wins and 4 out of 5 on this trip. That's where the whole making a move thing, if they had been playing their best basketball all year, and Draymond Green had been in, and Andrew Wiggins had been in, and GP2 and Chris Paul, and everybody was playing well and they were still losing,
right?
Then to me, it's like, okay, blow this thing up. But it's pretty clear they're stuck in a spot where I don't know how valuable Clay and Draymond are. And then I don't know how valuable, what kind of asset they could have gotten for Moses Moody at this point, you know. So I like the idea. I think it's fine to ride it out, and you get a couple of big road wins back to back. I the 2022 title has ruined me, because now all of a sudden I'm like, hey man, if Steph's gonna play like this, why not? Like if Steph's going to play like this, and you're going to get this. I know Andrew Wiggins wasn't very good tonight, but you're going to get the version of Andrew Wiggins more nights than not that you got in Philly. And then Jonathan Kuminga's rolling, and Draymond Green looks like he's a little more back to normal, doing his triple single thing, but quarterbacking the defense. Like this is great. Giving up 109 to the Pacers is honestly pretty impressive given what they've done this season. So I'm with you. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go bet on them to win the title right now. But 2 weeks ago, I'm going, I don't know how this team makes the play-in, much less the playoffs. And now they look like they should not only be a play-in team, but maybe be scary.
Yeah. And I think another really good game from Kuminga. It's interesting to see how big of a jump he's taken in season. Someone mentioned to me he should win most improved player.
Oh, that's
he won't, because most improved tends to just go to whoever has the biggest statistical jump from last year to this year. And given that he didn't really break out until mid-season, like Tyrese Maxey literally jumped 10 points per game. Like that's going to be who the most improved player is.
Yeah.
And he's been great too. Don't get me wrong, but you could make a case that Kuminga going from out of the rotation in the playoffs, although that seemed political, kind of unsure what they were doing with him in the early part of the season. He wasn't bad, but he also wasn't good. He was kind of up and down, that sort of thing. To now he's just the second option on this team. And they're running plays for him. They're running offense through him. Another 18.4 assist night for him. Just comfortably all over the place. He also had 2 blocks, and defensively, he continues to get better. I know the off-ball stuff isn't where you want it, but on ball, he can guard anyone at this point. And it's just, I think more than anything, one, getting Draymond back, but 2, Kuminga taking that step is what's changing the trajectory of this team right now.
Yeah. And Kuminga was always the piece, right? Like that was always the issue, is he wasn't playing, so he wasn't going to get better. And it was clear they needed a player like him. And like, that's why they held on to him. They knew that they could get this kind of player who was this productive on both ends. And you talk about the off-ball stuff defensively. Like, to me, it's the kind of thing that you figure out as you, that's right. You figure that out as you play. So I love what he's, I love the assist numbers too. The fact that he's not like in the preseason, right? It was Kuminga dribbling the air out of the ball, backing down until he could get a shot up on the rim, and that's just what it was. But now it seems like more within the flow of the offense. It just looks so different because they haven't really had a scorer like this since like, I don't know, a secondary scorer. They
literally have not had a play. They literally have not had a player like this at all during Steve Kerr's era, and maybe that's part of the reason it took them a while to figure out what to do with him, because Kevin Durant's the only other guy they've really had who can quote unquote get his shot whenever he wants it. But
so that's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to make it sound like I was comparing Kuminga to Kevin Durant.
Also, it's just a completely different style too. Like more of a finesse player, a shooter, what a ridiculous handle at his size. So it's just a different type of player. Like to me, Kuminga is like a Siakam or a Jaylen Brown, where like downhill athleticism. It's something that literally they've never had the entire time here. So maybe I should be easy on the coaching staff. It took them a minute to figure out how to use it, but it's a nice piece to have. Like those Kuminga with Steph setting the screen. Obviously, Steph's going to take bodies with him because they're going to leave that guy wide open. He just hit 11 threes again, you know? And then you get Kuminga in a one-on-one, and who's stopping that downhill, right? The body control, the athleticism, the strength. He's just insane.
And he's not the kind of player that you throw length at him and pause and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Right. You know? Right. He's like, I got that too.
Yeah. Right. So I just, he has developed into a weapon that there's not a super easy defense for. And then you mentioned all the stuff with Steph setting screens for him.
Mhm.
That's just a really, really hard thing for teams, I think, to figure out. And the Warriors have needed that really, really badly. And I think if you get that with what you got from Wiggins offensively in Philly, like that's a good team, man.
And just to take it back, it's really just the defense too on both ends, where you're finally not just shrinking at all times. You have like a requisite amount of size. That was probably the thing that annoyed me the most in the early part of the season, which was Steve Kerr taking Kuminga off the court against OKC. And like, shocker, Chris Paul can't guard Jalen Williams. He can't there's just a
Who would have thought?
There's a requisite amount of athleticism you need to be able to compete with some teams, right? Like IQ matters, but you have to be able to like have a requisite amount of size and speed. And it never made sense to me that they weren't invested in letting him play through it, because he represented a player who could be that. And, you know, it was a little rocky, but we're here now. We're here. And I'm just curious to see what happens when Chris Paul comes back, because I swear to God, if they pull him for Chris Paul in close games, I'm going to lose my mind.
Bro, it would. They can't, right? Honestly, the game in Atlanta, they win that game if Kuminga doesn't foul out.
Yeah, they win that game if Wiggins and Kuminga don't end up off the, because then they were with Quinones at power forward.
Oh, yikes!
Not a power forward.
He's not.
FYI.
Not. He's a better player than I thought he was, though, man.
No, he's
6'5" and 5 tonight.
Yeah,
he's a dog on defense.
What I love about Lester and Guy is they absolutely understand that they would not be in the NBA if they don't play hard as hell every game.
That's it. Like, that is so vital.
Yeah.
My job is I do radio in Sacramento, so I watch a lot of Kings, and they don't have any players like that. And the value of it, like, you see it in the last 3 or 4 or 5 Warriors games, is how valuable it is to just have dudes who are just dogs. Like, maybe they're not super skilled. Maybe they're not going to start. Maybe they're not going to play 25 minutes a night, but you need them.
If you're playing Lester and Guy 20 plus minutes in a playoff game, you probably have a problem.
Yeah.
But you know what gets you to the playoffs? Being able to have those guys to give you energy in early February when your main guys are tired, when they aren't bringing it. Like, it's a long season. Sometimes you just need innings eaters, right? Like, you and I both like baseball. Sometimes you need a little Joe Blanton.
Yeah, well, and dude, honestly, Joe Blanton, get out of here.
Just different body types, but
But that's what they've missed with GP2 out.
Yeah.
Like, that's his greatest quality. Is, well, I mean, A, he's a great on-ball defender, but B, just busts his ass every second he's on the court.
You feel him. You feel his impact when he's on the floor at all times. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Before we move forward, I wanted to just say, if you're looking for high-end office furniture for a fraction of the price, check out abettersource.com. My guys at abettersource.com just sent me a Herman Miller chair. My back, my posture is going to get so much better moving forward here. I've been hurting with back issues recently, which makes everything better right now. I cannot tell you how hyped I am. And the best part of it is, you know how those nice chairs people talk about, Steelcase or Herman Miller, stuff like that. And that stuff's expensive. And I've avoided purchasing one for well over a year, even though my back has told me I need to, because I just get sticker shock. I refuse to do it. And eventually I did it, and it paid off. And the best part, if you go to abettersource.com, my guys will give you 10% off a Herman Miller Aeron chair if you mention the Light Years podcast. So hit them up, mention Light Years pod, get 10% off a chair, and watch your back and shoulders thrive.
I'm gonna
very excited. Very excited about that. Very excited about that. Yeah. The chat's going, Sam's back is feeling like Steph. You guys don't know. I did not have back issues until a couple of years ago. I always laughed at people with back issues. And then they hit, And then I was just like every other grumpy middle-aged man going like, my back hurt, just leave me alone. It can ruin your day in ways that are very hard to quantify. Shocker. If you can't use your body, it sucks.
I have avoided major back issues to this point, but even when my back is a little sore, it ruins my day. So I'm gonna have to get a chair before it starts to hurt.
You have to move on it. I'll get you hooked up.
My man.
Okay, let's talk a little trade deadline. I got into it a little with Andy. The Warriors did not make a move. Interesting, they went aggressive with the Bulls with the Caruso and Drummond thing. What would you have thought if they acquired those two players? What if I told you they added those two players to this team? Going to cost you Moses Moody, might cost you GP2 or Looney. Obviously going to cost you picks, but those picks aren't in the rotation right now. How would you feel about the Warriors roster if they had those players mixed into this thing they got going right now?
Probably about the same. I think Steve Kerr's not going to rest until he coaches Alex Caruso. Like that really feels like what's happening. I don't think I feel that dramatically differently. I get how good he is defensively, and that's great. But
adult pods.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. It would have been fine, I guess. It would have felt like a little bit of an overpay for sure, especially depending on what the picks were.
Sure.
But I don't. It would have been the kind of move that felt like a move just to do something. That didn't make them markedly better.
I disagree with you because I think this lineup they got going with Steph, Pods, Wiggins, Kuminga, and Draymond works.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can upgrade Pods into someone I know can perform in the playoffs, I'm not saying Pods can't, but he's a rookie.
Sure.
I'm intrigued.
That makes sense.
To your point, am I willing to like give up all those picks to do it?
I'm really question. I don't know where you land on Moses Moody. I'm very high on Moses Moody though.
I am too, but Steve Kerr's not. So it doesn't, he's on the rotation. I like
you know what? Hey, you know what? That's fair. You got me.
I like I've made amends with the fact they're going to probably move off of Moody, and on his next team, we're going to be like, why didn't they play him? So
yeah.
Not saying,
I guess saying
that's justifiable. I just think that's what's going to happen.
His extension's this offseason, right?
One more. This is early extension summer. So both him and Kuminga are year 3. They can sign early extensions. I think Kuminga will get one. I don't know where Moody's going to land. So.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I get. Yeah, I it'd have been fine. I think I probably would have felt about the same about them though. And I would have been really sad to see Kevon Looney go. If I'm just keeping if I'm keeping it real right now.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I'd have been pretty bummed. I'd have been bummed about that. But also, if he's going to play 5 minutes, like.
and to be fair, I don't know if Looney was involved with it. I just know Looney and GP2 are the only ones who can match salaries. So one of those two are, like it's.
Oh, you said. Okay. I'm sorry. I
one of the two. I'm not sure.
Okay.
The rumor was Moody picks and filler for.
I think you said Moody and my brain heard Looney. I'm sorry. I
was discussing both, to be fair. So
spaced out.
It's all good.
It's my bad.
I do want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, since the Warriors didn't make a move and this was a quiet deadline, did anyone who made a move at the deadline, did it change your opinion on kind of who's going to win it?
No.
Playoffs, title favorites, that sort of thing.
I think Dallas got better, and that's I think scary in the West if you get Luka and Kyrie with a little bit better supporting cast.
Sure.
I think Daniel Gafford can play a little bit, and now behind Derek Lively, I think that probably makes him a little bit more valuable. PJ Washington can hoop, and I think he's probably better than Grant Williams. So I think Dallas got a little bit better. I like what the Suns did depth-wise on their bench. They needed some additional NBA players there, and they have that now. But I still like OKC, Denver, Minnesota are still just, to me, so far.
And I think OKC is the one who I got most excited about. Adding Gordon Hayward's not. It's not insignificant because they're going to ask him to play in place of Josh Giddey in lineups.
Sure.
And unlike Josh Giddey, he can hit a jump shot. So he's also a really good passer. I think it helps. I think I don't want to call him a game changer, but like that's a veteran who moves the needle for them. Like, I don't know, Shea, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, Gordon Hayward, Chet. It's it's a nice lineup.
They did need a veteran for sure. They did need a player who's like been around. I think that matters, especially come playoff time.
I do too. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And he's still a good basketball player. His days of being a star are over. He's more of just a damn good player in general. And I'm willing to bet he moves over there. All of a sudden he's healthier. So all of a sudden less like back, ankle, knee issues in Charlotte and more. I'm ready to give you 20 minutes a game. I'm ready to give you 22 minutes a game. So I like that one. I think that matters for them. I do agree with you. Dallas is a good move in general. I don't know. It really was a really quiet deadline. Do you have any theories why?
Yeah, because OG and Pascal Siakam got traded 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Is it really that simple for you?
I think so, because let's take this afternoon or this morning, right? If OG and Pascal Siakam had not gotten traded,
if it happened like in the last 24 hours, like today.
Right. Yeah. So let's say they were on the block as of 6 a.m. this morning, Pacific. In all the lead up to that, there would have been all these rumors about where they're going to get traded. And Bruce Brown still would have then been on the table. And where's he going to go? There would have been this team is involved, that team was involved. And then if they both get moved to today, on top of the Gordon Hayward and Royce O'Neal and PJ Washington and the Kelly Olynyk got traded, and all these other moves we see, now it's like, wow, what a deadline. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Even without the mega star power. So I think the OG and Siakam deals happening when they did definitely tamp down some of the fervor from today. At least that's my theory anyway. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, you're right. Like, those are the two best players who are moved in the deadline period. They just happened to be moved 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which led to a deadline where nothing happened. Like, DeJounte Murray was the biggest name being shopped, and I think we both agree Siakam and OG are probably still bigger names than him. So even if he got traded at the deadline, it still wouldn't have been as big as if those Toronto guys got traded.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting though, like Chicago, the Warriors were involved with them. They decided to move no one. Atlanta had their name out there for a month, decided to move no one. The chat's mentioning it, and it's kind of what I think, which is second apron more so than the play-in, and making a lot of teams gun shy a little bit here. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of baseball. And I don't mean that as a compliment, but you know how like in baseball teams are a little more pragmatic, not as spendy, cheap, and that sort of thing. It does feel a little like we're entering this era with the NBA with the second apron where teams are going to be like, oh, hold up. Do I really want to give up a pick? Because if I get a pick, I get a controlled player and I can control my own destiny. Whereas I give this stuff up, I'm going to be up against the apron and I'm stuck for eternity.
Yeah. Honestly, that entire thing. And I know that's why the Warriors moved Corey Joseph. But I also think that's why I thought they'd be more active at the deadline, was just trying to start dumping salary to get out from under that. But I think that's part of it. And then I also think there's a lot of teams that are in a spot like I'll go back to Sacramento here. They're in a similar spot to the Warriors where you kind of see it like I think the front office kind of sees it like they have proof positive that they can go to 7 games in a playoff series, and if 1 or 2 shots fall, you're going on the second round or whatever. And I think it's more just there's so many teams in that spot where, okay, almost there, but not really. and there's not a move out there that's going to really get you over the hump. And so instead of risking, falling out of this place you're in, where you're in that 5, 6, 7, 8 seed range, battling for that last playoff spot, you just kind of stand pat and work with what you know. I think that maybe played a little bit of a role too.
I think I agree with you. I think that makes sense. I think it ties to this overarching like pragmatism, conservatism, whatever you want to call it with the teams.
Yeah.
Before I get you out of here, I want to talk with you about this Saturday night. Which is Warriors versus Suns. I feel like we will find out if the Warriors, if this run is for real on Saturday night. That's this week's Under Armour game of the week, Warriors Suns.
Come on.
4-1 road trip. They haven't beat the Suns once this year. 2 of those games were frustrating because they should have beat them.
Yes.
This is going to be one of those type of games where we find out, okay, have they actually turned a corner, or did they just take advantage of bad teams?
Yeah, and I although I'm not sure Indiana's bad, and holding them to 109 is significant, but no, I'm there with you, man. Now it's a Western Conference team. You're at home. They have star power as much as anybody in the league. This is his national TV game. Holy smokes! Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think this has been an impressive little run.
Bob Myers?
I think it's been an impressive. God, I hope so. It's been impressive for sure. But I'm with you, man. This is it. Like, if you're going to climb in the standings and you're going to get into the play-in tournament and
hopefully more,
hopefully more. Fingers crossed. You have to beat teams like Phoenix. I mean, that's just it. Phoenix is good, but they're not. The 2016 Warriors or anything crazy like that.
Right,
so,
right.
I would love to be able to push back and be like, no, I actually think that it's okay if they lose this one, but no, if they smoke a late lead or get any way they lose this game, it's going to suck if they catch an L. So would love to see them make it 4 wins in a row, get a win against a real team in the Western Conference, and move forward.
And that is your Under Armour game of the week. Steph Curry makes you believe you can do anything. And the Curry 11s are specifically designed with ultimate bounce, grip, and stability to allow everyone to do their thing. New generation of ball players are coming up and showing the basketball world the old rules do not apply. The future is exciting, fast, positive, and hungry. This NBA season, rock with your favorite player, rep his shoes on and off the court, and of course, hit 11 threes like it's nothing. Steph, you're silly. Yeah, there we go. Kyle, I appreciate you coming on.
Have a great evening. Anytime. I love your guys' show so much.
Before you go out, I need 30-second Super Bowl take.
I'm worried that the 49ers can't tackle and that the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. That's what on Candlestick Chronicles today, the podcast I do with Chris Biederman, I got talked into the 49ers winning. But I've been saying Chiefs 30-23, just kind of for the last 2 weeks. That's just my knee-jerk reaction after. It was my knee-jerk reaction after the NFC title game, and so I've just kind of stuck with it, even though I see far more paths to a 49ers victory now than I did on Monday, January, February, whatever it was.
The fun of the Super Bowl is 2 weeks has talked myself into every possible scenario. You know, and my mind ran through Mecole Hardman.
Oh, he's killed him last year.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's how it goes. Marquez Scantling Valdez with the big game-winning play after dropping every big pass all season.
Dude, if that Tayshaun Gibson just 4 yards behind him, it all plays out. But last night I was talking to Biederman, and he goes, there's just a chance it goes like the Eagles game. The Eagles game from this year, the week 13 one, where the Niners won 42-9. And I was like, damn, you know what? You're right. It could.
That's yeah, I can't get there, but I do appreciate the optimism. I don't know. I think it's gonna be a good game. I do too. Yeah, and in some ways, good game and a loss is worse than just getting blown out. So,
boy, convinced.
I don't know. I think it'll be a close game. I think it will be a good one. I'm excited for it. Everyone should check out the Candlestick Chronicles. Those are my guys. Listen to it between now and Sunday. Kyle,
My man.
appreciate you. Have a great evening. Go
Appreciate
relax.
you,
I can tell you've done way too much Niner spotting.
I am struggling right now, dude. I've got NFL honor stuff going on. I got a Super Bowl to prep for. I got shows to do, but I will make time for you anytime, dude.
Appreciate you.
All right, buddy.
All right. Let's get to the goons. I know Warriors things are going well and McWalters comes back. I haven't seen McWalters in a minute. Quarterback's not everything, Paratosh.
True. Quarterback's not everything. How's it going?
It's going okay. Things are going well.
I mean, how can it not be going well when you have a 4-1 road trip where we legitimately should have won the one game we lost?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
agree.
I'm super stoked, and I think we all should be super stoked about this. Get back on the train, everyone who jumped off. Including myself. Let's all get back on there. Look, hey, we all knew they weren't going to do anything over the deadline. It was all just fanfic, and we can fanfic all we want, but we knew they weren't going to do anything. They didn't do anything. They looks like new motive operandi is we leak things now. Hey, we offered stuff. That's new. So I guess we got some type of mole now. And
the Dunleavy era. We're leaking.
We're leaking things. Who had that? Sean? So like we should find out who his leaks go to, because that's who we follow. But it would have been nice to get Caruso, but honestly, like, it wouldn't have moved me. I would have felt the exact same. Hey, okay, we're still struggling to make the play in, and probably can't even get to 6. So I don't think it moves the needle. And Caruso's there in the summer, and that's just more time for the Bulls to panic about stuff. And they're inadequately run, so you never know. They might trade him for even less than what we offered him when the summer comes. And I really think the main takeaway here is that, like, look at Pods, look at Kaminga, look at all the stuff, because all these injuries and suspensions we got out of, and we actually found 2 very serviceable players. I mean, that's phenomenal. And we were talking about the cap in the apron stuff in the chat, and like, if you don't have controlled money, like Pods controlled money for the next 3 years, if you don't have controlled money, what are you going to do? Like, people were suggesting on the Discord, like, why didn't the Spurs, rumored to trade for Trey to help Wemby out? That makes 0 sense, right? Like, why would you burn your cap space on a guy with a bloated contract? That's what's going to kill you going forward. And unless you're ready to make a move for a championship, like right now, don't burn it. Actually, move CP3 in the summer and get something that helps you for a full-on run. Right now, we should be going through and figuring out all our lineups, try to make the plan to get some more playoff experience for the young guys, and then get ourselves ready for next season. That's what we should be doing.
I can't say I disagree with you. It's frustrating because you want to go for it right now, but just looking at the way the thing's breaking out, a lot of teams who go all in, they're going to get stuck. Like, look at the Lakers. They're stuck right now.
Or look at the Mavericks. Look what the Mavericks just did. They paid to bring in Grant, and they had to pay out a pick, and then they had to pay out a pick to get rid of him because it was a bad call. And now they just screwed themselves even further.
Too. That's the funniest part.
Yeah, he's a prick. I guess he's a prick if you like him, if he's on your team, and he's just a prick otherwise. It's kind of the Draymond.
He's really just not that bad. It's really not that bad.
He's not that bad, but he's also not good.
I think they were a little emotional just dumping him.
That's fair, but he's also kind of like Jason Terry levels over irrationally confident about his own personal career, and he's just like, hey, I'm a leader.
I'm not saying he's changing the world. I'm just saying, he can help you a little bit.
When he's willing to accept that he's a role guy and not like the leader of a team, he'll have a great fit in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs 2 more stops. He'll figure it out. Right on. Well, hey, Sam, thanks for having me on.
All right, let's get to Will. Will, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, man?
Enjoying winning positive basketball. It feels nice, right? Like we watched 40 games of misery. It's nice to, even if we don't know where it's headed to, it's nice to turn on a game and be like, this isn't going to make me want to punch the TV.
Literally, man. It's just like you guys were just talking about a minute ago, I also was just like, I didn't think we were making any moves at the deadline, even though a lot of us may have, wanted that. But when you really look at it, like we were missing, and I know everybody hates hearing this, but it's like when we get back GP2 and CP, that almost in a way could feel like we've made a trade with also, Dre missing damn near the whole first half of the season. And now I just see like this whole trio of Wiggins, Kuminga, and Dre as really anchoring down our defense. And even last night's game when Steph only scored 9 points and Clay had a good game, and I think having those guys there helps cover up the deficiencies on defense of both of them, which honestly maybe in a way takes a little bit of pressure off of Clay. Worrying about if he gets beat by one of those guards, he's got some help there. And you know what Draymond did the past 3 games that is more what he's used to is he's starting to trust his wings a lot more, because when he was first coming back from suspension, what was happening was he was coming out so much to try and help cover on those shooters that were like out on the wing or whatever. But now he can play his like free safety position, as a lot of us call it, because he's now able to trust what those guys are doing up there, and he can hedge and gamble and not worry that like it's gonna lead to an automatic bucket for the other team, which is what it was doing in the beginning. But I feel good about this, and honestly I'm not necessarily of the belief that it's all going to lead to next season, like, oh, we'll just get them playoff experience. I really still think this team could do something, and it's all going to depend on how the back half of the season goes, obviously. But I say this Phoenix game is going to be a real tell of where this momentum's going, and then we just kind of go from there, man. But I don't know, I'm feeling good.
It's going to be fun. Like, they just made the season fun again, and it was not fun the first 3 months. So I'll take what I can get right now. They got something brewing. I like watching Kuminga. Steph is the GOAT. Like, we didn't give him enough praise. We just didn't give enough praise for this is how casual 11 threes is. We're like, wow, that's great. But let me tell you about the screens he set. That's how bored we are with him sometimes. And I'm obviously none of us are bored with him, but it's just kind of like,
dude, one last thing I wanted to say. It's crazy how Steph's been playing. He's just been on God mode. But I wanted to mention, Maxey averages 25 a game, and right. When we played them, he scored 12. And then tonight, Hallie, he averages 23, and then and tonight he scored 5 points. I know he's on a minutes restriction, but still 5 points. You're like, what? Wiggins has been playing incredible POA defense lately, and it's just really good to see him, coming out of whatever funk he's been in, and it's just good to see finally our POA defense is finally picking up, which I think is making things easier. I mean, our past couple games we've held opponents to under 120, minus that Hawks game, which I'm still pissed we lost that game.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one. But I agree with you. I mean, Wiggins is coming around. It matters. He's playing great defense. Will, appreciate you. Paratosh, what's up, my man?
Hey, Sam. Sorry, I've been doing the bikes. I'm like panting a little bit. Anyway, a couple of... Just taking out my frustration of sleep. But a couple of things. So first, I was talking about Mahomes not letting you guys beat down the Chiefs. Not that you will lose or definitely lose.
Let's talk about this.
Okay, no worries. The other couple of things, yeah, I'm also not that disappointed with the trade deadline. When I looked at the number of like the kinds of offers that, for example, Chicago were what they were wanting for Caruso, so that doesn't disappoint me as much. The whole season, yes, it has been a disappointment, but there are a number of reasons for that. And to be honest, I like that the leak that came out with Shams talking about how they wanted to go all in on Caruso. That bodes well for the offseason, especially with the CP3 contract that they still have. So I do think Dunleavy is going to try to do something with that. My bigger worry is, will Steve Kerr let that happen, and especially the rest of the remaining 2 months of the season. Like when CP3 is back, what happens to the Kuminga, Wiggs, Draymond lineup? What happens to Podge minutes? What happens to Lester, who's played much better than Kojo? So that's my bigger worry in general, and like that's also my disappointment that it shouldn't have taken Steve Kerr and the coaching staff this long to figure out that Steph with like Kuminga letting him play the way he has, or just like letting him play with freedom would help the team so much more than any trade could. So that's just the disappointment, and you know how much like I'm perpetually disappointed in Steve Kerr since like 2022. So I may be a little bit biased, but like I think it's a healthy criticism, or like it's a fair criticism, especially because if we say that the front office is not trading and that or like front office not doing anything is costing Steph his prime years, then Steve Kerr taking this long to figure out what would actually work is also costing Steph his prime years. So it's not that like it's just the front office, but also the like especially with the new CBA, I don't think that trades are as easy as they used to be. So it's even more important that you develop from within and make sure that the assets that you have can be put in the best places to succeed. So but yeah, going forward, I think I'm excited about the offseason more than the remaining part of the season. But I do think if they stick to what is working right now, we can make some noise. Maybe go to the second round and hopefully not see the Lakers and their whistle again. But let's see what happens.
Appreciate you, Paratosh. Have a great evening. Yeah, man, it's fun. Like, look, I'm not excited for the first game that Chris Paul plays over someone who shouldn't get benched, but we'll see. We're not there yet. I say we end it here. I appreciate everyone who came through. Happy birthday, Klay Thompson. Should have said that on the top. We'll be back